Welcome back to the Too Fast channel. This is part 2 of a two-part Feyachi unboxing and installation review for the Amazon Prime Day coming up June 21st through 22nd. If you haven't watched part 1, definitely watch part 1 where I unbox everything and talk about it. In this part 2 version, we're going to be installing these items and I will be giving you some more feedback. So I won't be discussing features of these items in great detail because I did that in the first part. First up, we're going to be test fitting the Feyachi PL-34 green laser, the low profile compact Picatinny laser. We're going to mount it to a polymer P80 Glock 19 Gen 3 that I built. And we're also going to be test fitting it on a PSA 10.5 inch upper receiver. Just the upper receiver. I have it removed from the lower for ease of maneuverability on my table here. So let's get the laser out. Release the slide on this. Put our empty magazine back in it. And we're going to mount it as close to the trigger guard as possible. I believe that cross pin is right where I want it. It is. Just tightening this down off camera. And there we go. So definitely super low profile. Now, one thing right off the bat I'm going to note is that because this is kind of generic, this is designed, this isn't a pistol only design, this is designed for rifles and shotguns and so on. This design right here is not optimized for mounting or coming around the trigger guard. And what that does for me, now I have small hands, I wear a small size glove. If we flip this over, you can see where my finger is. I cannot reach the button. I have to actually adjust my grip to get to the button. That doesn't work for me. If you've got wear a medium-sized glove or you got a large hand, then this may not be an issue. But then again, if you got large hands, you may not be running a Glock 19 like I am. This particular issue right here that I'm running into is normally mitigated with pistol-only devices like this Olight flashlight right here. You can see how these tabs for the switch come out. They actually come out and they go around the trigger guard, so I can reach these if so that works out good for me. I mean, you can use this on a rifle too. It's just got these little extensions sticking out. Ideally, I would like to see that on this laser because for me, I can't use this because I have to readjust my grip to turn the laser on. So this is not something that I would use on this Glock 19 here. But it fits great, tightens up well, and works just as it should. It's just I've got some ergonomic issues with it myself. And this would fit in my holster as well because this is actually smaller than the flashlight I normally run on here. So no issues with that. And it only sticks out a little bit from the end of the barrel. So great little setup right there. Let's go ahead and test fit this to an AR-15 upper receiver. Okay, I've got a 10.5 inch Palmetto State Armory upper receiver here off my registered SBR. This is a spot where I normally have a flashlight, so it's free of the Magpool rail covers. So we're going to put this on here. One thing I noticed is I can't get this loosened up enough to go over my Picatinny rail on here. I have to actually remove the cross pin, and if we remove the cross pin, we have this other piece on the other side which could fall out. So we're going to be careful and try and get this positioned right about there. And then insert the cross pin and tighten it down. I don't know why I can't get it over my standard Picatinny rail, but yep. Let's see if we get it this time. Alright, I'm going to have to put it in my lap. I apologize for that. I can't really see what's going on when it's that far away from me. Apologize for the delay there. Okay. What I ended up having to do was obviously pull out the cross pin and actually slide it down from the end. I could not get it to pop over my Picatinny rail on my upper receiver there. So went on just fine. Definitely nice and low profile. And this is where I normally have my hand and my thumb, so I can definitely get to it. So I can go, if I'm holding it like this, I can get to the button real easy. Normally I kind of grip it like that, but I can go like this easy enough. Get to it. So definitely nice and low profile right there. Looks good. Easy to access the batteries. I don't have to take it off to access the batteries. So once you fiddle with it and get it on there, you know, you're good to go. It's kind of weird that I couldn't get it over the Picatinny rail. This is a Centurion handguard with fixed Picatinny rails on the top and the side and the bottom. So your results may vary, but it's definitely a nice little laser for the money. And it's very usable on either a pistol or an AR-based platform or any other platform that has a Picatinny rail. Alright, so let's move on to our next installation. Okay, we're moving on to installing the Feyachi WL25 flashlight. We're going to install that on the AR-15 upper receiver. And we're going to install it, we're going to do two test fits. We're going to install just the flashlight, and then we're going to install the pressure switch. And we'll see if we can come up with a quick and easy method for implementing the power switch, or the pressure switch. So first off, the flashlight should be straight up pretty easy, since we already have a spot on our upper receiver. We'll utilize that. Let me put it in my lap for just a second. It's always easier to have it sitting in my lap where I got both hands on it. And we have the standard tail cap on the light right at the moment. And we've got that tightened down, no problem there. This is my standard grip with this particular upper receiver, so this is more or less where my hand sits. So if a little bit of readjustment where my thumb is, I can do momentary, I can do the strobe, and I can do on-off with the push button power switch right there. So that's real convenient if you want to run it in that configuration. So next up would be moving over to the pressure switch. Okay, for the purposes of this installation on this upper receiver, I'm not sure exactly where this light is going to live long term, but for demonstration purposes, I'm not going to pull off these Magpul rail covers. They're kind of a pain to pull off, so I'm going to mount this pressure switch up here and figure out exactly the best spot for it. So obviously we are not going to be using this tail cap cover. And if we're holding this, this is not going to be the most ideal location, but for the purposes of this video, I think I'm going to put it right about right there. So now I believe we can just squeeze this over the Picatinny rail. Excuse me while I take this off camera for just another second. Yeah, that's what I thought. It's a very hard plastic, but you can push on it and it will pop onto your Picatinny rail. So there's no clamps or anything like that. You just have to put a little pressure on it and it will snap over your Picatinny rail. So now the question of the wiring. The light does include that Velcro strip, which you could use for you know, you could put this on, say if you had a vertical grip, you could put it on the vertical grip and use the Velcro around that if you were so inclined. I've got to manipulate this cabling here, so I'm just going to do this in a quick fashion, off camera, just because it's just simpler to have it in my lap. Ideally, I'd probably route this underneath these rail covers. Okay, I think I've got a configuration here. Okay, so what I've done here is I've just routed this cabling down. Ideally, I'd pop these covers up and I'd get this tucked down in there and around and around and around. Now if you had some zip ties, you could probably use some zip ties, and that's more or less how that could live, like so. Obviously you could put this on the other side, like over here. Like if I grip it like this, the pressure switch would probably make more sense to have right there so I can easily grip it. But I might put this on a different upper receiver. I'm just not sure exactly where I'm going to put this. Now, as I mentioned originally in my unboxing video, if you get this all put together and screwed down and you need to recharge the battery, here's the issue. You can't screw this cap on or off with your wiring all routed and such, especially if this is all tucked and wire tied. You've got to physically take the flashlight off to unscrew the cap. Like I can't even screw this cap on because as soon as I try to screw it on, the wire gets all tied up. So that's not ideal. This needs to have a little swivel down here so you can loosen this and tighten it without the cable getting twisted up. So that would be the only thing I would recommend for a future version 2 of this particular light, is an ease of getting the battery in and out of the flashlight. Because right now I'd have to loosen this and take the flashlight off and unscrew the flashlight from this and take the battery out. So anyway, so that's a quick installation of the Feyachi WL25. I keep forgetting the model number on that. Definitely a very convenient setup right here if you want to run with the pressure switch. I like the 2 pressure switch option here, the on off and the momentary. That's really nice. And the light output on this light is great, and it, light comes with two 18650 batteries. Great buy for the money on that setup right there. So if you can get past the battery change issue on this, it's a great little setup. So let's move on. Okay, moving on. We're going to be setting up and installing the Feyachi V30 2MOA red dot sight. As mentioned in part 1 of the video, this ships with the low profile mount on it. We want to install the included absolute co-witness mount. So we're going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to mount it on this AR-15 upper receiver here, and I've got the receiver kind of mounted so it's kind of vertical. Hopefully it doesn't fall over. Kind of hard to get one of these to stand by themselves. We're going to use the included tools that come with the Feyachi red dot. And basically there's 4 screws on the bottom. Hopefully they're not, they don't have Loctite on them. Or if they do have Loctite, it's blue Loctite or yellow. One was tight, one was loose. And there does not appear to be any Loctite. I would recommend if you do pick up one of these and you get things situated and you get your mount on there that you might want to put a little bit of blue Loctite on there so these don't loosen up on you. The same with this particular screw right here if you get it mounted. I always put a little bit of blue Loctite on these so I don't have problems down the road with things loosening up. Since these mounts they're not quick release mounts, they could loosen up on you if you're running and gunning with your firearm. And this does not come with any blue Loctite. You'd have to supply that on your own. And these do look like standard Aimpoint T1 type of mounts. I don't actually have one handy to test, but it definitely does look like that. And we're just going to put 2 screws in for now. Otherwise, it'll be painful for you to watch this. We do 4 screws. I'll just do 2. Just want to give you an idea of what the process looks like to swap these mounts around. Definitely not complicated. And we'll just put in 2 for now. That'll be fine. And of course, we're just hand tightening these. You don't want to put a bunch of torque on them. because it is threading into aluminum, and it is 6061 aluminum. So there's the Feyachi. Just a quick recap. If you haven't watched part 1, definitely go back and watch part 1. This red dot sight comes with optional flip-up caps that you can install, and a anti-reflective device on the front. So very cool. We'll use our Torx wrench over here, loosen this up. And we'll get that mounted as far forward as possible. Actually, it would have to go right about there. And I think that will work for the magnifier. So we put it right about there. All right, so there's the Feyachi. Now, if you run the flip caps, you can flip them up or flip them down. I have them situated so they flip down right now. Yeah. So if you're running the red dot by itself, let's go ahead and kick that on. See if you can get a view of that through the camera. Probably not, but so that's a pretty good looking red dot sight. Mounts up just fine. That would be absolute co-witness. I can't see in the view screen if that's aligned, but definitely would be the way to go. Now you can orient these caps so they flip up if you want. I just have them that way, and you don't have to use that that anti-flash device. That comes off. That was shown in the first part of the video. So anyway, that's the installation of the absolute co-witness mount onto the Feyachi V30 and installation on the upper receiver. So next we're going to move on, and we're going to do the flip the side magnifier. So since this is already installed in place, we'll just put it back on my little foam temporary stand here, and I'll get out the flip the side magnifier, and we'll get going with that. Okay, we're moving on to installing the Feyachi M37, the 1.5 by 5 times red dot magnifier with the flip the side mount and focus adjustment. We're going to have to do several things. One, I don't believe we can have this flip cap on the back. We can keep it on the front. So we're going to have to remove that. The flip caps just pop on and off real easy, which is convenient. Get our mount and our magnifier. Now by default these normally flip to the left. I'm actually going to set this up to flip to the right because that's my preference. And let's hope it doesn't roll off the table. That would be unfortunate. Let's set that out of the way for the moment. So here's our flip to side magnifier. So flip it to the right. Our push button is going to be up in the front. Inconvenient, but that's what happens if you want to flip to the right. This is a pretty solid lock on this mount. Got a single crossbar, 4 torque screws here, and 1 thumb bolt here to hold it in place. And the lock is nice and solid. So I believe we can mount this right there, right in front of the flip-up iron sight. I don't think that'll be a problem. So let's go ahead and get the mount done first. I may have to move the iron sight back, but let's see if we can install this right here. Sorry, I take it off camera here. I'm just trying to, I'm eyeballing. This is upside down, of course, but you can see where this is. It's right close to the, it's not rubbing on the mount, but it's real close to it. It's closer than where I would like it to be. Yeah, it's the red dot, the absolute co-witness mount is got enough of a curvature on it that this push button is not interfering with it as it sits. So I can get in there and I can hit the button and flip it to the side. I can move this back just a little bit. I might maybe 1 more notch and move this back. I don't know. I won't do that in the video right here, but I'll leave it like this because it is usable right as it is. So if we leave it like that, and of course we would, since you can see the power adjustments right here on the top, so obviously we would want to orient that near the top so we can see what our magnification settings are. So let's go ahead and loosen these up just a smidgen. We should be able to slide this in and get it oriented and tighten it down. Once this is all finalized and I've got all the settings correct, I'll go back in and I'll add a little bit of blue Loctite. So this shouldn't interfere with the charging handle. I'm almost tempted to move this a bit further. I would like to keep everything back here on the upper receiver. Don't really want to put it up on the handguard, but again, this is just our preliminary test fitting here. This isn't going to necessarily be permanent. Just want you to see what's involved with setting this up and installing it. I will obviously tweak it to my liking. I'm not even sure this setup's going to live on this particular upper receiver. I might put it on another one. And again, we're not really using super torque on this. We're just snugging these down. We don't want anything to move. We don't want to strip anything either. All right, so sorry if I'm taking it off camera. I'm just doing just a little bit of testing. I'm going to remove the anti-flash device and the cap just for the time being. The magnification with the flash device on there was just kind of playing with my field of view a little bit, so I decided to take it off. This is pretty nice. The focus works good. I would definitely not want to have this without the focus ring. So apologize for taking that off camera. Wanted to check it out myself. Very nice little setup. I've got it right now set to 3x magnification. Adjusted the focus ring to get the sight picture in focus. The red dot's nice and crisp. The push to side works. And obviously, you'll have to pardon the abrupt ending to the last segment there. Drained the battery in the camera. I had to put in another battery. We're running out of juice on this one too. So anyway, on this temporary setup right here, you know, reaching around to flip to the right is a little cumbersome, but doable. We can still do the irons with it flipped to the side. If you don't mind it flipping to the left, then the button would be over here. Be a little bit easier to access with your offhand. But I like it flipping to the right. I've got it situated real close to the red dot right there. And everything mounted on the upper receiver. So whether or not it'll stay like this or I readjust it, I don't know. But this is a nice combination. A lot of nice features on this V30 red dot sight. A lot of nice features on this magnifier with a real clear and crisp picture to it. Doesn't distort the red dot like some of the magnifiers I've seen. And this focus adjustment really works out really good. I mean, I would not want one of these without the focus adjustment. So anyway, that's pretty much going to wrap up this test fitting of the Feyachi products that are available via the Amazon Prime Day on June 21st and 22nd. Definitely hit their Amazon store during that time. See what kind of discounts you can get. You know, the discounts are going to vary from 20 to 50% off. I'll put the links in the description. And like always, thanks for visiting the Too Fast channel and watching my videos. And I'll catch you in the next one.